What's happening, YouTube? It's Dummy Woods 12 back again with another video. I'm gonna change it up. I said I was gonna do my Power Rangers Zeo review, but I just got to thinking. I think I'm gonna do a Power Ranger rant. There was a lot of rants about people doing Power Ranger rants on YouTube, so I think I'm gonna do a Power Ranger rant. One of the first things I'm gonna rant about is the Power Rangers' identities. How can nobody figure out they were the Power Rangers? Especially in Mighty Morphin. And mainly in the Zordon era Power Rangers in general. I mean, they always were together. Those people were always together. I mean, those five, Mighty Morphin, Jason, Zach, Kimberly, Billy, and Trini, and later Tommy, they all hung out together. They were all hanging out together. Literally, they all hung out together. And another thing that could have given it away is that when the Power Rangers were around, they somehow disappeared. Nobody, I mean, you think people, somebody like Ernie or even hell, Bulk and Skull would have realized. I remember in season 2 when they were dirt biking. They were like doing like this motocross, like these 4-wheelers and these just dirt biking. They were, I mean, the Rangers got a call from Zordon, and they teleport to the command center, and they leave their bikes there. And Bulk and Skull, I know Bulk and Skull weren't that smart, and that's when they were like trying to figure out who the Power Rangers were. And Bulk and Skull, they saw that the Rangers, but that they had left their bikes, and then they somehow just show up in the park. We just show up in the park and stuff like something like that. They show up in the park. How can Bulk and Skull not realize that? I mean, the Power Rangers when they show up, those 6 aren't never there. And another thing, they always wore the same color clothes. That also would be actually something that I actually think somebody would have recognized. That, like, oh, Jason, why you always got on a red shirt? Oh, let me see. Jason always has on a red shirt. Could he be the Red Ranger? Oh, Tommy, you always got on green. I always got on white. You might be the White Ranger. Are you the White Ranger? I mean, somebody in the people in Angel Grove, well, they kind of that slow that they couldn't realize that whenever the Power Rangers were around, and when somebody would talk about the Power Rangers, they would just kind of stay quiet or be like optimistic, be like really not really enthusiastic, but talk sarcastically when somebody's talking about the Power Rangers. Have sarcastic looks on their faces, but I don't know. That's just me. It was mainly the cold color thing about them wearing the same colors every day, over and over and over. And when the Rangers appeared, they're not there. That actually would kind of tell me, well, maybe these guys could be the Power Rangers. But that's just me. And speaking of Power Rangers identity, this is another thing I'm gonna rant about. Kind of not really rant about, but there's only been a couple of seasons where the Rangers didn't have their identities weren't secret. Because I know all during the Zordon era, that was actually a rule they had to keep. As I mentioned in my first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers video, that they had to keep their identity secret. That was one of the main rules, was to keep their identity secret and to never use their powers to get the upper hand on somebody, and to never fight, at least Rita provokes them to. Those were the rules. And I say if I ever looked them up or thought of them, that I was gonna announce them. But yeah, that was it. But yeah, another thing I want to talk about is, because I know in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and they had identities, in Zeo they had identities. Even though they thought they knew the identity, the Rangers themselves thought they knew the identity of the original Gold Ranger. They thought it was Billy, because I actually knew it wasn't Billy. I said to myself, the Gold Ranger isn't Billy. I mean, seriously, Billy's not the Gold Ranger. But not that it wouldn't have been cool to see Billy as the Gold Ranger, but Anyway, back to what I was saying. And then Turbo, they had identities. They changed Rangers in Turbo. Well, they changed the 4 adult Rangers in Turbo to 5 teens, which is something I'm gonna talk about more in my Turbo review as to why they were changed. There's a reason why they were changed. But in space, they had identities. They had identities. When they were on Earth, they had identities. And when they actually went into space, there wasn't really many people to know. There were monsters there, but the people on Earth didn't know who they were until the last episode, Countdown to Destruction, which I think actually was supposed to be the end of Power Rangers. That's when Power Rangers, I think, was supposed to just end in space. Because I actually think Power Rangers was originally going to end during Turbo. But in space, I believe that was supposed to be the last episode of Power Rangers ever. I think they were just gonna stop doing Power Rangers and go on and move to something else. The Saban company was gonna stop doing Power Rangers and move to something else. And I guess they seen how good Power Rangers in space was. They adapted another one, which was Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, which I'm pretty sure the civilians didn't know, but Captain the army of what that was, like what Kendricks, Kai, and Mike worked for, and the people on the mega ship. I think they knew who the Power Rangers were. I think they knew. If I'm not mistaken, I think they knew who the Power Rangers were. If I'm not mistaken. But the civilians did, so I guess you kind of said they had identities. But people actually semi-call that a Zordon. It's kind of in a way Zordon era, even though Zordon's dead. But they have Alpha on there. Alpha's still relevant in the Space Rangers come. Who are the last Zordon era Rangers, dubbed the last Zordon era Rangers. But actually, then the next season, Lightspeed Rescue, that was the first season where they didn't have secret identities. People knew who the Rangers were. If they knew if one of the Rangers was around, they were gonna be protected. So that was good. That was cool. And I actually kind of got confused at first. That I was like, they're just morphing in front of everybody, so they must don't care that that people know who they are. And I actually find out that, oh, it's supposed to be that way. It's like a police force. They're supposed to be. Their identities aren't supposed to be secret, but because they were recruited. I'm like they were recruited by Captain Mitchell, and I was like, they're not supposed to be secret. In Time Force, they had identities, and Wild Force, I don't think they did, because they had those jackets on. That's actually something I didn't like about Wild Force. What was up with the damn jackets? I mean, I didn't like the jackets. And it's like they always wore. Did they ever wash those jackets? This actually something I always wonder. Did they wash those jackets? For every episode, they wore those jackets. Symbolizing what Ranger they were, and their beast, their Zord on there. And another thing I want to rant about Wild Force. Wild Force had too many fucking Zords. They had too many damn Zords. And I actually think that reason they had so many Zords in Wild Force, because I didn't really like Wild Force that much. No, I didn't really like Wild Force that much. But I think they were just trying to sell toys. Because every Zord they came out with the toy. But anyway, and after Wild Force, it was Ninja Storm. Ninja Storm, I think they had identities, and people didn't know who they were. And Dino Thunder, of course, because Tommy was there. Tommy was given the Ranger code by Zordon, and so he made they all kept their identity secret mostly. And we'll think about something else. What was that on Dino Thunder? After Dino Thunder was SPD, which I personally love. I think was to me, SPD's actually, to me, the best. That and Dino Thunder in a way is kind of the best Disney seasons of Power Rangers ever. I think SPD to me is the best Disney season. That's just my opinion. I think SPD is the best Disney season. They didn't have identities because they were like a police force, so they had the jackets on and whatnot, symbolizing what color ranger they were. And everybody knew SPD. If you worked for SPD, you were trained to be a Power Ranger. So they didn't have identities. They didn't have secret identities there. And Mystic Force, I didn't watch Mystic Force at all, so I don't know if they had identities at all because I didn't like Mystic Force. I actually watched the first episode of Mystic Force. I wanted to, because I seen the Ranger suits. I wanted to like Mystic Force, but I kind of got disappointed. But anyway, I didn't like Mystic Force. Operation Overdrive, I don't think they had identities. I don't know for sure because I ain't gonna lie. The only episode I really liked just had me jumping up and down Operation Overdrive was Once a Ranger. To be honest, that was actually the only season that had me just jumping up and down, wanting to watch that episode. But I like Operation Overdrive and Mystic Force. And after Operation Overdrive, Jungle Fury, I didn't like Jungle Fury. I didn't watch that at all. I don't think they had identities in that either because they had these jackets on. I don't think they had identities in that either, but anyway, Samurai, well, not Samurai, I'm talking about some Operation Overdrive. They didn't, not Operation Overdrive, RPM. I gotta get my stuff right. RPM, they didn't have identities because they fucking knew who the Rangers are. They had a fucking episode interviewing the Rangers. Little kids come in and interview the Rangers, so they didn't have identities there. And and then after that, Samurai, I think they have identities. They keep their identity secret in Samurai, I think. Because when they leave the Shiba, they really never morph. I never really seen them morph with a lot of people around. And they wear everyday clothes, so yeah, they pretty much have identities in Samurai. And the final thing I want to rant about Power Rangers. If the villains knew who the Rangers were, which half of the seasons they knew who the Rangers were, why they had to go around attacking the people, attacking the buildings, which I like the building blow up, they're blowing up buildings and whatnot. Why didn't they just attack the Rangers head on? Aside from, I know like in the first season they were like sending out putties, and they're mostly doing this, they were sending like their henchmen out to attack the Rangers, but they always got beat. Why didn't the villains themselves come out and actually attack the Rangers themselves and attack them head on? I mean, that would have been, it wouldn't have made the show, it would have made the show less interesting. But that's something I wanted to rant about. I think they should actually attack them head on. And another thing one more thing I want to rant about is, why are there, I'm trying to get my words right, why don't they use some of the Sentai concepts? I mean, they use the concepts of the episodes, but they need to use more of the, I know they want to use more American footage, true enough, but I actually think there need to be, because actually in the Sentai season, Super Sentai, they actually bleed. The Rangers bleed, and after they demorph, they're bleeding. They're like pretty severely beat up. I think they just do that because the graphic, because of kids watching and whatnot, and they don't want to, like, I guess per se, scare them or nothing. So, but that's all I had to say about my issues with Power Rangers, with my Power Ranger rant. So that's all I had to say about that. Peace. I'm gonna be back with my Power Ranger Zeo review later on today. Peace. I'm out. God bless.